Hello everyone, welcome to forceGalaxy. Hope you are doing good. So as you know, we started with some LWC series. In the last scenario or in the yesterday's video, we take a look how you can do the dynamic styling when you are having two different CSS classes or more than 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number of CSS classes you are having, and you want to use one at a time based on some condition. Then how you can achieve this? So the same thing we did in yesterday's video. So in today what we will going to do, let's suppose we are having lightning input and some lightning radio groups are there. So there is one attribute available required, using which what happen, if user will going to focus on particular lightning input, then it will make sure that user should enter some value. Okay, that it will going to show the error also, complete this field is required. But what if user is not going to focus on some input boxes, and if he will not going to focus, then it will not going to show him the error that this field is required, and will be able to submit without entering any value in these boxes. So we want to avoid this. How we can avoid this? We will going to run, or we will going to check again at the time of submit if all the input boxes are having the value or not. If not, then it should show him the error that this field is missing, this is required. So let's see how we can achieve this. On submit also, we need to make sure all the values are added by the user without leaving any field. So let's come on the screen and see. So I already added the complete code, and I will show you, okay, what things I did here. If on the video itself I write the complete code, so the video will going to be too long, and you will also get bored. So I do not want you to get bored. So here I already added the complete code here, so you can see what I did here. One of the lightning input is there, which will going to help me to take the input from the user, that is the name. This is another input which will going to help us to add the email address. And one more thing, if you will see, the required attribute is added. This is the standard one. In the lightning input, we are having one required attribute, using which if user focus or touch this input box, then it makes sure user will enter the value. If not, then it will not going to give you any error. Okay. Now the next one, radio group, I added with the gender. What is the gender of the user, female or male or female? Okay. Then next, after this, one button we provided to him, that is submit. So as soon as user will going to submit, at this time we want to make sure all the input boxes are having the value or added by the user. If not, then show him the error. So now let's come to the JS part first. Okay. So in the JS, three variables with properties we are having: name, email and gender, which will going to help me to store the value which user has added. Okay, this is the gender option, male and female. We added two options here, and this is the one where we bind this. It will show you all the options which you added in your JS. And on change, it will going to call the same method. So one method I use is handle input change. So in any of the value user will enter any data, it will going to call the same method, and based on the name we will going to check which one is the input box where user added the value. Okay, so here if field name is equals to name, so already I created two more variable where this will help me to store the name. What is the name here? If you will check in this input field, the name is name only. In this name is email, so this will going to be act as a unique identifier. Will also get to know in which input box user is adding the value. Okay, so based on this name value we are identifying, and based on this we will going to store these value in different variables. So in case of gender, the name will be gender. So if user is adding a value in this particular input, then we will going to check if field name is equals to gender, then it should store that particular value in this property. Here is the one. Okay, if it is the name, then it should store that value in this property, that is the name. Okay, got it? So this is the one we are doing in handle input change. Now the next come is finally when user will going to hit submit. For now I will going to comment this one will run this much. Okay, so as soon as user will going to hit on submit, what will going to happen at this point? Will show one alert. Okay, right now we'll show one alert that form is submitted successfully. So right now what we will do, as soon as user will going to enter on submit, will show one alert that form is submitted. Or if you want to show some console also we can add. We'll get to know whether this particular method is executed or not. Okay, so form is submitted successfully. Let's save this and deploy, and we'll see what output we'll get. So right now I use the attribute in all the three. Okay, this is also required, this is also required, and this one is also required. So let's see now. When we will going to submit, on click, this will going to call the method handle form submit, and on handle form submit, will it make sure that user has entered all the values, or it will going to submit. Okay, so this is what we want to check. So here you will see the red asterisk is there. Why the red asterisk is available? Because you are using here the required attribute. Okay, so what I am trying to say is, if user will going to focus on this particular input box and then remove its focus without adding any value, at this point it will show you the error. Okay, this field is required, you should add value something here. Okay, this is done. Now it will remove the error. Why this is happening? Because of the attribute required which you are using. Okay, next I will not going to touch this one, I will also not going to touch this one, and I'll hit submit. Let's see, and open the console also. As soon as I will going to hit submit, it will going to show me the alert. If we'll click on this OK, then whatever the remaining things are there in that particular function, it will going to show me. So the submitted is added here. So this is what I am trying to say. When you are normally only using this required attribute, if you will focus on that particular field, then only it will give you the error. But let's suppose user did not touch this email, did not touch on the gender. Even if they are required, user will be successfully able to submit this form. So this we want to avoid. We want to make sure at the time of submit also all the fields should have value. So if right now I am submitting this, instead of giving me the alert, it should show me the error. These fields values are missing. But why it is not giving? Because we are only using the required attribute. So if you will focus, then only it will give you the error. Okay, else it will not going to give you the error. So let's see how we can do or achieve this thing at the time of submit also. So let's go back to the code here. Okay, let me remove this console and alert. So what I am using now, I will going to take help of query selector all, and with the help of query selector we'll going to check the validity and will accordingly show the error. So these are the boxes or the input fields which are missing. So here if you will see, there is one query selector we are having, and another thing is query selector all. Based all, in this we need to pass the ID. Okay, if you are using normal input, the HTML input, at that time you need to provide the ID, dataset ID. That ID we will pass. If you are using the lightning tags, then in that case we need to provide these lightning input or lightning radio group it is, or lightning checkbox it is. Accordingly we'll add the element value here. So once it is added, what will happen? It will going to collect all the elements here of lightning input, and using this we'll do the for each loop. Once we'll do the for each loop, here we'll check whether any input is missing any value or not, whether all the inputs are filled or added, values are added by the user or not. So here using this all input, now we'll do the iteration over this using for each loop. So you can see this is the for each loop we are doing here. This is the variable input, and one by one using this input we will check whether this contains a value or not. If not, then we will going to show him the error with the help of report validity. So check validity is the standard function we are having, then this is the report validity we are having. This will going to help me to check the value whether it contains or not. This will going to help me to show the validation error. Okay, the error which we want to show, the same error will be visible to you, the one which used to comes when we remove the focused. Okay, so one variable also I will going to use here. So if any of the field which does not contains the value, at that time we're going to make this variable as false. Okay, so why we are making this variable as false? So when it comes to the end, I'll show you. Okay, so one variable I am using here where by default value will be true, which means nothing, no error you need to show. You will only going to show if all valid is false. So if any of the field here is going to be wrong, so if any of the field here missing any value, this variable will be marked as false. Similarly, this we are doing for the input one. Okay, now we will going to check for all the radio groups. So if only one is there, then one will be added to this. If multiples are there, so for multiple it will going to add the values. Now same thing we'll do for this also. We'll do the validation, for each loop, and with the help of this for each loop, one by one for all the elements we'll check whether it contains a value or not using the check validity. If not, then we'll going to show the error. Okay, this is the report validity. So here you will see note sign is already added. This exclamation is the note sign here. If does not contains the value, then you need to show the error. Plus we will going to mark this variable also as false. Okay. So once we are done with our iteration, at the end finally what we will going to do, will with the help of this variable only, we'll check if this is true, which means all the values are already filled by user, we will going to submit. Okay, so we'll show one alert this now you can submit the data successfully. Okay, and insert update, whatever you are doing, it will perform. Else if it is false, which means it comes inside here on these lines 41 or the 48 line. Okay, then now you need to show an error that before submitting you need to add the values in each field. Either it is input, it is radio groups, whatever it is, something is missing. So based on the report validity, user can check where it is showing the error, complete this field, and accordingly user can add the value. Using this, you can show the validation or error at the time of submit also. This is very important. Okay, many times you will get the requirement. If you normally use this required attribute, then at the time of focused only it will show you the error. But if you want that user should it should check at the time of submit also, then this is the thing which you can use. Okay, so this is the one way. It is not only limited to this solution, there are number of solution using which on submit you can check. Okay, but this is the one what I think is the easiest way, using query selector role. It will collect all the element based on the id. And this is only not limited to the lightning tags. Even if you are having the HTML tag, then the dataset ID you can pass here, and based on it, it will check whether this particular element contains a value or not. Okay, so this is done. Now let's save this and deploy again and see how it is different from the previous one. Okay, so this is deployed. Let me open. Let's do the hard. Okay, this is done. So earlier what is happening, if you will not going to enter the value, it will show you the error. This is correct, but let's do the submit this time. Okay, I did the submit. It's showing me the error. The validation is valid, a variable got false. That is why it is showing me the alert of fix errors. As soon as I will click on this, okay, so now you will see it will show me the error on all the fields which are missing the value. So this was also missing the value, this one also missing the value. So you need to add the value in all the fields which are not added by the user. So this is the one. This is the one of the interesting thing I want to share with you, to add the validation at the time, or to check the validation at the time of submit. So hope you enjoyed this video. Meet you soon in the next video. Thank you so much.